Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to a new Euro 2021 vid. I just thought I'd do a little quick update thing. We're sort of 2 out of 3 games done in the group stage, so we'll sort of see how things are going, and then we'll have a proper review episode after all the groups are done. Because there's not much settled at the moment. Sort of like, usually like there's a couple of groups that we said would be walked. There have been some upsets and some shock results. So I just thought we'd have a little catch up, see what's going on. So currently we have Italy qualified for the round of 16, 6 points, 2 games, 2 wins, haven't conceded and scored 6 goals. So they beat Turkey 3-0 and then they beat Switzerland 3-0. And they look good. They look really good. Very, very impressive throughout the whole team, like from Donnarumma in goal, through Chiellini, like up the wings, and Immobile up front as well. I don't know if they'd have enough to go all the way, but they're very, very impressive. I think missing the tournament sort of gave them a bit of a kick up the backside to get in gear. And then in the other opening game, Wales and Switzerland drew 1-1, and then Wales then went on to beat Turkey in Azerbaijan. They were sort of a little bit worried about that game because Azerbaijan and Turkey are very, very close. So they felt that it was going to be basically an away game, but yeah, came out with a 2-0 win and missed a penalty as well. So, so fair play to Wales. That leaves them second on 4 points, Switzerland with 1, and Turkey pretty much done. So Italy play Wales in the final group game in Rome, and Turkey play Switzerland in Azerbaijan again. So could get something. I mean, Switzerland have looked pretty decent. Obviously, they got slightly hammered by Italy, but they didn't look bad. It's just Italy are that good, really. So I reckon that would probably be a draw. Could Wales get something out of Italy? Potentially. But I think realistically 4 points should get them through anyway, even if Switzerland win. I mean, looking at the goal difference, if it's 1-0 each way, then Wales would be second anyway on goal difference. So I think you'd probably see 3 from this group. Turkey going home with nothing. Maybe a draw there between Turkey and Switzerland. But yeah, Italy walking away with it, as pretty much people expected from that group. Group B, Belgium have already qualified. Again, 2 games, 2 wins. A little scare. Trounced Russia 3-0. No issues there. Fell behind to Denmark in the 2nd minute, I think, maybe, possibly. But then came through. Lukaku scored? Or did he not? I can't remember who scored their first goal. And then De Bruyne with a class goal. Like Lukaku. No, I think Lukaku actually passed it for their first. But I think for the second goal, Lukaku passed it to one of the Hazards who flicked it off 1 touch to the other Hazard who played it through to De Bruyne in space. First time, half volley. Casper Michael, no chance. Fantastic goal. And Belgium are looking good. A little dodgy at the back. Like I was quite surprised that Denmark didn't equalise because they were all over Belgium at the end. But Belgium did enough and qualified with 6 points. With a game against Finland to come, which should be a walk in the park for them. Finland did beat Denmark, but as I'm sure most of you will know, during the first instance of that game, Christian Eriksen suffered cardiac arrest on the pitch. Had to have life-saving treatment, which fortunately worked, and he's awake, he's alive. and he's on the mend as far as I know. I don't think they've quite worked out what it was. I think they said like he's not positive for COVID or anything. Whether there's maybe some family history or something. Hopefully they'll find out. But yeah, that was a scary moment, but fortunately he's okay, and that's the main thing. I heard conflicting things about this game because I was quite surprised that they then went back out and played it that day. And then I heard two things. One was to play it that day, to play it on the Sunday, the next day, or to forfeit a 3-0 loss, like just forfeit the game. But I did notice earlier when I checked that it was just play it today or tomorrow, Saturday or the Sunday. And they just went back out on Saturday. And I mean, they lost 1-0. I mean, fair play to Finland. They didn't celebrate their goal, I don't think. But, first major tournament, got a win. Fair play. That might see them through, potentially. And then they lost 1-0 to Russia, which it was a very close game. Finland actually took the lead, but it was ruled out for offside, if I remember rightly. And then Russia were all over them for most of the game, really. So probably deserved a 1-0, but maybe a draw would have been a bit fairer. I don't know. So I don't know. So Belgium are through, and then Russia and Finland are on 3 points each. Denmark probably won't go through now. Obviously, the goal difference of -2, they'd have to turn around quite heavily. And as I said, I think there's going to be 4 points needed for that third place to go through. Finland, Belgium may take their foot off the gas a little bit. They may rest some players for the later stages, potentially, or they might just go for it. I don't know. That's no idea, basically. So that group's a little bit open for the sort of second, maybe a third place getting through. I think most of it will be looking at that Russia-Denmark game to see what comes out of that, to see if Russia keep that top spot, second spot. We'll see. But you never know. Finland might do something. They might pull it out. They know they've got to do something, so you never know. Might just go for it. Catch Belgium out a little bit. But yeah, Belgium are qualified, as again, everyone thought they walked that. Netherlands are qualified for the last round, again, a group that they were expected to walk through. Full 6 points. They conceded 2 against Ukraine, and that was a close game. I think they were very lucky to come out with a win there. I honestly think 2-2 would have been a little bit fairer on Ukraine especially. But they didn't. They got the full marks, and then they didn't tear Austria apart, but they did beat Austria quite happily. Austria beat North. I can't do it. I still can't do it. North Macedonia 3-1. So my prediction of Austria to sort of capitulate and Macedonia to come through and get some doesn't seem to be coming through. A lot of it really comes down to Ukraine-Austria. That's going to be an interesting game. Because Ukraine haven't looked bad. They beat North Macedonia 2-1. Didn't look superb in that game. But North Macedonia, they're doing all right. I don't imagine they'll do much against Netherlands, but Netherlands do look dodgy at the back still. They very much like Liverpool, missing Van Dijk. They didn't concede to Austria, so fair play. But then Austria were without Marko Arnautovic, who was banned for that game after some racist or nasty comments. I think it was Alioski, potentially, in their game against North Macedonia. But yeah, apparently he made some nasty comments, so he was banned for one game. So he should be back for the Ukraine game, so that will bolster Austria a lot. But they didn't really offer much against the Netherlands, so We'll see. That will be an interesting game. And then North Macedonia, Netherlands. I mean, North Macedonia will probably just go for it, see what they can get. I mean, they've scored against Ukraine and Austria, so there's potential they could get a goal, especially with that Netherlands back line. But I imagine that Netherlands attack, which is looking smart, probably put a few goals on them. Could be like a 4-2 maybe. Could be interesting. Could be a high scorer. But Netherlands again have walked it. 2 games, 2 wins, 6 points, done. Not worried. And Ukraine, Austria. I mean, a draw, 4 points. As I said, 4 points looks like it could get you that fourth spot. Four third best place spots. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. Group D kind of went completely against my predictions. And a lot of people's, because the Czech Republic came out and beat Scotland 2-0 in the opening game. Close game. Like, I think 2-0 was a flattering result. The second goal being from the halfway line, kind of fluky, really. David Marshall was off his line, and I'm not sure what the guy's name was, but, took it. A beautiful curl on it. Fantastic finish. But it's just one of those, like Hanley had a shot, fell to him, he hit it, caught keeper off his line. So would 1-0 have been a bit of a fair result there? Probably. England beat Croatia 1-0 in the opening game. Again, they kind of did enough against who was supposed to be the stronger team in that group, who didn't look good at all in that game. They did not look good. But Scotland looked all right. So I was worried about the game last night for England-Scotland. And it finished 0-0. It had a lot in it without anything happening, if that makes sense. Like, England hit the post, Scotland had one cleared off the line. Not much else really happened. It was just one of those sort of end-to-end. Pickford made a good save. There was a goalmouth scramble in Scotland's area, and it finished 0-0. It was one of those sort of games that's just sort of, well, that happened. So Czech Republic still on top because they drew 1-1 with Croatia. Sorry, didn't mention that in the other game. But that one finished 1-1. I have no idea. I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. I have no idea about that game. But again, as I said, the 4 points should be enough to get you through in the third place. So Scotland back at home against Croatia potentially could come away with a win there. They know they've got to go for it. And Croatia aren't looking like they're offering much. They might catch Scotland on the break. Because one thing from last night's game that Scotland did well was slowed England down. When England were playing at pace, they were all over them, and it looked like they should have battered them. As soon as it was sort of slowed down, passing across the back, passing across midfield, not really attacking, Scotland were quite happy. And England were frustrated and didn't know what to do. But knowing that they realistically need a win, because I doubt 2 points would get you through. In fact, it probably wouldn't now. I think too many teams would have won to have the 3 points for the third best placed. Knowing you want to win, being back at Hampden Park, probably having a bigger crowd than the Czech Republic game, I'd imagine. I don't know what their capacity is at the moment or anything, so we'll see. But basically, the one thing with the last games that makes everything very difficult is, like I said, Scotland have got to go for it. Realistically, Croatia have got to go for it. Both of those teams need a win to get that 4 points to hopefully be enough. So both teams are going to be going for it. That could be a very high-scoring game because it's literally just playing two at the back. I don't care. Just score more than they do. England, Czech Republic, I don't know. As I said, Czechs, they didn't look great against Scotland, and I didn't see them against Croatia, so I don't know how they were then. You'd imagine that England should beat them, but I might sort of get onto this point a bit later. I don't know if I want to finish top. Like I said, England did enough in that first game, and I can see them doing enough again without really attacking it. But at the moment, they just worry me coming up against France, Italy, Netherlands-ish, Belgium, Germany, Portugal, any of the bigger teams. I don't know if they can have the answers. Like everyone sort of laughed at Southgate's choice for the Croatian team, playing like a right back at left back and whatnot, and it was the perfect game plan. They did enough. Didn't work. It didn't quite work last night, as I said. I mean, they hit the post. Had that gone in, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. I mean, again, as I said before, like these last games, 4 points is probably enough. Another draw potentially. Will they just phase each other out potentially? But yeah, that'd be an interesting one. And as I said, Croatia Scotland, I could see being a rather large scoreline, because I can just see both teams realistically just going for each other. And now we have Group E. Sweden sitting on top, Slovakia sitting second, Spain in third, and Poland last. Yep, that's exactly what I just said. So I had Spain to walk it, Sweden second, Poland third, Slovakia fourth, and I think pretty much everyone had Slovakia last. So when they came out and beat Poland 2-1 in the opening game, everyone was kind of surprised. Like, that was a bit of a shock result. And then Spain-Sweden 0-0 was one of the greatest 0-0 games I've ever seen. You might disagree, you might have been bored, but I just thought it was amazing. Like, they were both attacking, they both had good defence. I was just, when you're really enthralled in a match and you just can't take your eyes off it, even though realistically nothing's happening. I just absolutely loved it. For a game that finished 0-0, for me, it was one of the games of the tournament at that point. And then in the second round, Sweden beat Slovakia 1-0. They didn't look superb. So the fact they're top of the group is a bit like, well. And then this evening, Spain and Poland drew 1-1. Now, Spain in the first half, 1-0 up, all over Poland. Like, I don't know how it wasn't 5-0. Literally all over them. Poland came out second half. Decent little attacks, like fair play. Again, looked like Spain should go 2-0 up, whatever. They then, should have checked this. They then had a penalty, which they hit the post, and then the rebound went nowhere near the empty goal. That was quite surprising. And then Lewandowski equalised. I'm sure it was 1-0 with the penalty, and then Poland equalised. I'm sure that's how it worked. Or it had gone 1-1. And then this evening, Spain won, Poland won. Shock result. Leaves Spain on 2 points. Now, in the preview, I did say that Spain are still sort of on the rebuild. They're not quite where they were, but, decent enough team. And looking at this group, they should have walked it. But fair play. The Sweden-Spain draw, okay. Poland, really. And the thing is in the first half, they were all over them. Went 1-0 up and just walked it. Absolutely walked all over them. Should have scored loads. Came out in the second half, and I think it started off the same slightly, and then Poland really sort of got themselves into it. And then a superb Lewandowski header. Absolutely incredible header for the equaliser. We sort of woke Spain up a little bit. Got a penalty, hit the post, and then the rebound was just hit nowhere near the empty net. Like, it was awful. And then they just couldn't get through. Poland actually had a couple more chances, to be honest. It was definitely all Spain then. But, yeah, held on for another draw. Spain 2 points in the group. Awkward. They have got Slovakia for their last game, and again, it's in Sevilla. So, I assume their games, yes. So they should win that. which would leave them on 5. And then Sweden-Poland could be interesting. Again, Poland needing that 3 points to get to the 4. Poland to get 4 points. Sweden already on 4 points, so they should have enough, ideally. I don't know. They sort of, I can see that being a draw because they kind of cancel each other out, really. They're both pretty solid at the back. They've both got some attacking threats. Yeah, so I'd say that'd be a draw. And then, I mean, if Slovakia just shut up shop, they could frustrate Spain. But I'd imagine Spain to get a win out of that. And then lastly, the group of death. So we have France top, Germany second, Portugal third, Hungary fourth. Exactly like I said. France 1-1 drawn 1. Not quite what is expected, but okay. Germany 1-1 lost 1. Portugal 1-1 lost 1. And Hungary drawn 1, lost 1. So in the opening fixtures, Hungary kept it to 0-0 until I'm sure it was the 82nd minute when Portugal scored. They then scored in the 84th and then the 92nd. So 3-0 really flattered them. I thought I was really gutted for Hungary because to have held them out for that long. And as I said, like, Portugal were very slow starters, and it really seemed that way. And Hungary even had a couple of chances, but unfortunately, it ended up sort of on the end of a 3-0. And then France beat Germany 1-0. That was an interesting kind of game. Paul Pogba was superb, and the France team looked good, and Germany didn't really look like they were offering much. But it wasn't as convincing as I was expecting it to be from France. But they still got the win, and it was like, well, there you go. They're on their way now. And they got Hungary next, which is then more of a surprise when they then drew 1-1 today. And I was streaming at the time, and someone was like, "Oh, do you want to know the Hungary-France game?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, go on. Like, this is going to be like 5 now or something." So, they drew 1-1. I was like, they did, wasn't it? I haven't seen the game. I haven't seen the highlights, but I'm interested because that's something. I'm interested in reading the write-ups of the France game because, as I said, I can't see anything past them just trouncing everyone and getting to the final, whether England get there, whoever get there, just steamrolling everyone. 1-0's not steamroll, but do you know what I mean? Just not being fussed, not losing. To draw against Hungary was a bit like, oh, okay. Right. So then the game that's everyone sort of put France through the top, and then it was always Germany, Portugal, second, third. Who's going to get the points. So they played each other today in Munich. Germany went 1-0 ahead, which was then ruled off for offside. That's sure it's offside, but it got ruled out, and then Ronaldo scored like 2 minutes later. It was like, oh, okay, so it's Portugal's game. Next minute, it's 4-1 to Germany. Just like completely turned on it. I don't know what happened to Portugal. This all went 1-0 up, and then I don't know. Germany were just like, oh wait, we should actually do something. Yeah, sure. I mean, there was 2 own goals to start it, which is always interesting. You don't tend to see many own goals, but and then Portugal pulled one back. Lucky not to be ruled out for offside by VAR. It looked like it hit. Was it Ruben Dias? Head on the way through, which would have put whoever sort of knocked it back offside. But it apparently didn't touch his head. Okay. But they scored, and it was quite a way to go when they scored their second, but that was it, sort of thing. Nothing else really happened. So yeah, it leaves you on 4 points for France, 3 for Germany, 3 for Portugal, 1 for Hungary, with the final games being Germany-Hungary in Munich and Portugal-France in Hungary. I have no idea. I have no idea. I still can't work out this Germany team, whether they're good or bad or there. You'd expect them to beat Hungary, especially being at home. I don't know. I mean, as I said, the 3-0 flattered Portugal. I think really they should have had a 1-0 snatch and grab. Obviously they've drawn with France, but this time they're not at home. They've got to go to Germany. Germany know they need to get. I mean, a win could potentially win them the group, because France have taken a buffer in, Portugal have taken a buffer in, but Portugal is scoring goals. How good is that France back line? I don't know. We will see. But the reason that I'm interested in this group is because if England win Group D, which probably still going to happen, more than likely, potentially not. Czech Republic have beaten England. Admittedly, that was in the Czech Republic, and I think they beat us 2-1 away, and then England won 4-1 at home. But different times, different teams. But if they win the group, they play the second from Group F, which, let's just say, is this now, Germany. Germany came through and smashed Portugal 4-1, 4-2, 5-5-2, because they did score at first, and only lost to the world champions 1-0. That's a little bit worrying. But that game would be at Wembley, so I don't know. If England finished second, I've got to work this out now. I've lost them. I can't find them. Where's second Group D? So second Group D would play second in Group E, which could be anyone now. I thought it would be Sweden. I still think it would probably be Sweden. Spain to win 5 points. Well, no. Yeah. Could be Spain. Maybe. Could be Poland. I'm just trying to work out goal difference. Potentially. Could be anyone. It could be anyone in that group. Which I wouldn't worry about too much, even if it was Spain, because they look good attacking, but they still look a young side. They still look like, is it a step too early for them? As I still believe it is for the Netherlands. I mean, their real test was Ukraine, and they conceded twice. If Netherlands had Van Dijk, I'd be like, okay, yeah, looking at them. But the issue with that one is they'd have to travel to Copenhagen to play whoever. They would then play probably the winner of Group F, which, I mean, as I said, I don't particularly want to play any of those teams at all. Again, it's looking like probably going to be France, because they should beat Hungary. Sorry, they should beat Portugal. They should have beaten Hungary. They didn't. But if they don't, and you get Germany or Portugal, who would have beaten France, I don't know if I'd want to play at all. And that game would then be in Russia. Whereas if we win it, we just have to go to Rome to face probably the first of Group E, probably, which again, I literally don't know. I can't tell you who's going to win that game. That group, sorry. I have no idea. That group is just baffling. But yeah, so I just thought that'd be a nice quick little update as to how things are going. There haven't been major shocks. Obviously Finland beating Denmark was a bit of a surprise, but under the circumstances, fair play. Belgium pretty much steamroller in it, although they did go behind Denmark and did look a bit nervy in that first half. Italy are just steamroller in it. Wales in with a chance of progressing. after beating Turkey 2-0. That was quite a bit of a surprise. England and Scotland draw, maybe a surprise, but you know, I don't think Scotland played bad against the Czechs. And they would definitely have been up for the game last night. But it's good because that leaves them a chance of going through. I mean, at the moment, Spain are sort of the major choke artists, really. I mean, drawing with Sweden potentially could have happened. Drawing with Poland, very surprising. But they're not the polished article yet, so. And then the other major one really is that. And as I said, realistically, that could have finished 0-0. And if Hungary had been, you know, had 2 points with a game to go in that group, like that would have been interesting. I mean, Portugal would have been bottom of the group on 1 point, but you know, yeah, it's sort of going the way it kind of looked like it was going to go, apart from Group E, and the Czechs. I mean, you know, I can't see them beating England. Although I assume they're the designated home teams, that might help them out, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so Group D is definitely up in the air. Group C, again, it's likely to be one of these two to go through. The fact they got to play each other is interesting. And as I said, the 4 points should see you through as a best third place. Again, you know, Finland probably going to be staying on 3 points. I mean, this is interesting. You know, Switzerland and Turkey draw. That's pretty. They're gone. You just see Italy and Wales going through. But yeah, it's interesting. There's a few sort of. I mean, I thought Ukraine would do alright. I thought Austria would choke, which they haven't. So fair play to them. This is quite an open group, which people kind of thought it would be ish. I suppose England, who have you know, been sitting on maximum points, probably expected, but you know, I mean, Croatia are one of those teams. They haven't looked good at all, really. Definitely relying on Modric. Scotland, you know, they've got good players. They played well against Czech Republic and came out with a 2-0 loss. They played all right against England, came out with a 0-0 draw. You know, can they play well against Croatia and come out with a win? I don't know. Can the Czechs upset the English? Potentially. You know, they didn't look bad against Scotland. Group E, I just baffled. I have no idea. I'd expect Spain to beat Slovakia quite comfortably. Might draw again. They might lose. Like, you know, they're just confusing at the moment. Sweden, Poland could go any way. Literally could go any way, that game. And then Group F, you know, Hungary drawing with France, shock. But should they then beat Portugal? Probably. Finish on 7 points. Win them the group anyway. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like, subscribe, email, I don't know. If you want to put in your comments in the comments below, any sort of predictions or thoughts you've had, any games you really liked. Did you like the Spain-Sweden 0-0? I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then the 4-2 Portugal game today. That was cool. But yeah, let me know. And thanks for watching. And I'll be back with a review of the group stages. So yeah, I'm hoping for some goal fests. I'm really hoping for the goal fests. But I'll see you then. Bye.